everyone, and welcome to this explainer. So, for the last couple of years, we've basically all been completely mesmerized by AI, right? I mean, we've got these incredible systems that can hold a fluid conversation, write a college level essay, or even compose a poem on the fly. But as mind blowing as conversational AI is, it's pretty much confined to just talking. Well, today we're looking at a massive, fundamental shift in the world of artificial intelligence. We're going to dive into a fascinating position paper from Microsoft on a system called TaskMatrix.AI. And this, right here, this represents the leap from an AI that just talks to an entire AI ecosystem that actually acts and does things for you out in the real world. Now, to really set the stage for what we're unpacking today, I want you to think about a quote from OpenAI CEO Sam Altman. He observed that the amount of intelligence in the universe doubles every 18 months. That's a profound and, frankly, a pretty urgent thought. The capabilities of AI are expanding at an absolutely exponential, dizzying rate. And you really see that exponential leap in action when you look at Microsoft's TaskMatrix AI. People have described it as a sort of mashup between Toolformer and ChatGPT, and a lot of folks in the industry consider this to be the definitive future of large language models. We are literally moving faster than anyone predicted. So here is our game plan for this explainer. First, we'll talk about moving beyond chatting to taking action. Then we'll break down the architecture of TaskMatrix AI, dive into some really cool digital and physical use cases, tackle the big challenges this tech faces, and finally wrap up with the future of productivity. All right, let's jump right into section 1, beyond chatting, taking action. Here's the rub with our current AI models. As smart as they are, they're kind of trapped inside a digital box. Think about it. They can give you the perfect recipe for a cake, but they can't actually turn on your oven. Previous AI models were essentially text in, text out. You type a prompt, you get a paragraph back. It's 100% limited to the digital realm. TaskMatrix.AI, on the other hand, is multimodal in, action out. That means it takes text, images, video, audio, and even code as inputs. And instead of just spitting out a text response, it actively connects with other systems to complete a massive variety of tasks in both the digital and the physical worlds. It is a huge upgrade. But it begs the question, how exactly does an AI reach out and touch the physical or external digital world? Well, that brings us to a really crucial concept. To wrap your head around TaskMatrix.AI, you've got to understand APIs. API stands for Application Programming Interface. In plain English, it's just a software intermediary that lets two different applications talk to each other. For our purposes today, I want you to think of APIs as the digital hands of the AI. Without APIs, the AI is essentially just a brain in a jar. But by connecting foundation models with millions of existing APIs, TaskMatrix.AI can essentially pull the levers and push the buttons of other software and physical devices to actually get things done for you. Which leads us to Section 2, the architecture of TaskMatrix AI. So, how does a system actually take a spoken command and turn it into a physical action? Well, it's kind of like a giant, highly organized digital supermarket. Your prompt goes on a specific 4-step journey. First, the core model understands your context. Second, it accesses a platform that stores millions of tools. Third, a selector picks the exact right tools off the shelf for your specific job. And fourth, an executor actually runs the code to make it happen. Let's zoom in and look at each of these 4 components a bit closer. Step 1 is the Multimodal Conversational Foundation Model, or MCFM for short. This right here is the brain of the operation. It's the part responsible for communicating with you, understanding what your goals are, and extracting the specific tasks from your instructions. The absolute key here is that it doesn't just read text, it takes in your conversational context alongside images, video, or audio, and then it proposes an outline for a solution. Models like ChatGPT and especially GPT-4 are perfect examples of an MCFM because they have those incredibly powerful multimodal capabilities. Okay, moving to step 2, this brings us to the shelves of our digital supermarket, the API platform. This is a massive repository storing literally millions of APIs, our tools. Now, for the MCFM brain to actually know how to use millions of different tools, they all have to be labeled in the exact same way, right? So the API platform uses a unified documentation schema. Every single API gets an explicit name, a parameter list that details its inputs and outputs, an API description explaining how it works, usage examples, and composition instructions for how to combine it with other tools. This consistency, that's the secret sauce. It's what makes it so easy for the foundation model to learn and use literally any tool on the shelf. Next up, we have the API selector. Imagine sending someone into a supermarket that has millions of items and asking them to find one specific tool. It would take forever. So the API selector acts as your highly efficient personal shopper. Its whole job is to trim down that massive mountain of APIs using what they call a module strategy. Basically, it groups APIs into specific packages based on their domain, things like visual models, math tools, or physical devices. By doing this, the API selector can rapidly locate the most semantically relevant tools that perfectly fit the solution outline the MCFM just created. And finally, we reach the action executor. This is the component that rolls up its sleeves and actually runs the various APIs, whether that's a simple web request or a super complex algorithm. But the coolest part, it doesn't stop there. TaskMatrix.AI has this incredible lifelong learning ability. It uses RLHF, which stands for reinforcement learning with human feedback. Based on whether your task was actually successful, the system optimizes the API selector using a trained reward model. Plus, the human API developers actually get feedback on whether their APIs were used successfully, which lets them optimize their documentation. So it's a system that is constantly getting smarter and more reliable over time. All right, Section 3, digital and physical use cases. Let's talk about what this actually looks like in practice. First, let's look at visual task completion. Because TaskMatrix.AI is multimodal, it can handle things like image question answering or seamlessly replacing and removing objects in a photograph. It can do text-to-image generation, convert an image into a sketch or a depth map using complex algorithms, and even reverse that whole process. And on top of that, it can generate massive multimodal content, mixing images and text together without those annoying strict character limits that you see in older models. And when we break this down by domain, you really see the system's incredible flexibility. Take office automation, for example. TaskMatrix.AI can literally listen to your voice instructions and then use complex software to fully generate an entire PowerPoint deck for you. Imagine how much workload that reduces. Then, think about the cloud and smart home domain. It can act as a central brain for your house, talking to your hardware, scheduling and controlling physical cleaning robots to run while you're at the grocery store. And looking even further out, because the only requirement here is the ability to leverage an API, TaskMatrix.AI can effortlessly access and interact with entirely new digital spaces, like the metaverse. Okay, I know, these use cases sound completely amazing, like science fiction turning into reality, but we need a quick narrative speed bump here. We have to ask, is this ecosystem entirely safe? Because it's absolutely crucial that we take a step back and critically examine the risks involved when we hand an AI the keys to millions of real-world APIs. Which brings us to Section 4, overcoming the challenges. The truth is, the key limitations to actually realizing this ambitious AI ecosystem are pretty substantial. First off, creating a truly flawless multimodal foundation model, one that can handle all these different inputs, learn from feedback, and use genuine common sense reasoning is incredibly difficult. Second, just the sheer logistics of maintaining and QA testing millions of constantly evolving APIs on a single platform is a massive time-consuming challenge, especially since new APIs are being created literally every day. And most importantly, there are severe security and privacy concerns here. When you ask the AI to do a task, your data gets sent to the model and then transferred across multiple third-party APIs. Impartially speaking, securing that entire data pipeline is a monumental task that the tech industry has got to address rigorously. And finally, Section 5, the future of productivity. Look, despite those hurdles, the overarching vision behind this technology is crystal clear, and it is absolutely poised to change how we live and work. TaskMatrix.AI is built to handle the ordinary, mundane daily tasks. We're talking about everything from the digital drudgery of formatting a spreadsheet all the way to the physical chore of vacuuming your living room. By connecting a brilliant foundation model with the millions of tools that already exist in the world, the goal isn't just to show off some cool new tech. The ultimate goal is to free up our time and our mental energy. It's aiming to make humanity vastly more productive and, because of that, vastly more creative. We've covered a lot of ground today, from an AI that just chats to an architecture that selects tools, all the way to real-world physical action. So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with this provocative thought. If an AI could seamlessly act across all your digital apps and physical devices, what is the very first task you would hand over to it? Seriously, think about how that would change your daily routine. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll see you next time.